Okay, so we continue with Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. And we're in Siman number 50. And our big topic is blessing before food, drink, and fragrances. Okay, so it's Siman 50 and Halacha, we start with Sif number 12. And it says, however, if there are two different types of foods, they are not subject to the same Brocha Rishana, such as fruits and vegetables, or if the second food is something for which the Shechakol blessing is recited, although after the fact, if he had recited Shechakol on any other item, or he recited blessing Borei Adama, who created the fruit of the ground, the proper blessing for vegetables on a fruit, he has fulfilled his obligation. Nevertheless, he may not do so initially. Rather, he is to recite upon each food the blessing designated for that food. Okay, so let's stop here, go to the beginning, and we're going to explain what it says here. Okay, so let's see. However, if there are two different types of foods, they are not subject to the same bracha rishana. So a person has, let's say, what is his? He has, let's say grapes, right? A person has grapes and strawberries. So on strawberry, you have you say it's a fruit of the ground, and the grapes are fruit of the tree. Okay, so you have to say two blessings. So one does not cover the other, even though we're going to say that if a person says shechakol, like after the fact, it covers everything, because the statement is true, right? The statement is that by approximately translate by whose word everything came into existence. It's approximate translation, right? So it is true if you say this about strawberries or about grapes. It is true, but only after the fact. So it's proper always to say the correct blessing, right? But if the statement is not false one, meaning you say that the strawberry that the grapes fruit of the ground, so after the fact it is true, right? Because every tree grows from the ground, right? So after the fact it is true, even though initially we should not say that. Okay, one second. Okay, continue. I mean that's the summary. Okay, the blessing Borei, who created the fruit of the tree, is recited before the other blessing of Borei Adama and Shechakol. Okay, so let's see. So our the rule is to start the blessings if we need to say multiple blessings. So multiple blessings we say only on different foods, like not part of the same dish. So if it is the part of the same dish, you would need to say only one blessing. So somebody, let's say, somebody has fruit salad. So in this fruit salad, you can have grapes, and you can have bananas, and you can have strawberries, right, and kiwi and other things, right, in this salad. But you would need to say only one blessing. So you would say, let's say majority is a fruit of the tree, for example, right? So you would say Borei 8, and it's going to cover all of the other ingredients, all of the bananas and strawberries and blueberries and other things. Okay, but if they're eaten separately, like you have a bowl of fruits, and you have strawberry, and you have grapes, and you have other things. So of course, in this case, you need to say two separate blessings, because they're not mixed for this purpose. Okay. So one more time the sentence. The blessing Borei, who created the fruit of the tree, is recited first. Okay, I apologize. So I lost the thought. So and the more precise, more precise the blessing. That precise meaning that it can apply to the only to the specific items. So you always say that the blessing first because it's the more important one. For example, the most precise blessing to the food is for bread. So you can use only for bread, and that's not for like only for bread that is baked out of 5 species of grain. That's it. So other breads, you say shechakol. You have a corn bread, you have rice bread. It's you say shechakol on those. Okay, even though they might look like bread, but they're not bread. Right. So and after bread, the most precise blessing is for the fruit of the tree. That's it. So okay, it can include only the fruit of the tree. When we say Borei like a lower level, it can include fruit of the ground and fruit of the tree. So it's not as precise as fruit of the tree. So that's the first blessing. Again, there is no bread. Not again, but there is no bread. If the bread meal is still, if you eat these fruits as a dessert, you would still say the blessing. But let's say there is no bread. Okay, you're just eating those fruits as fruits and vegetables as a snack or something. Commentary: he should recite the blessing for every chayetz and eat fruit before reciting the blessing in eating other foods. Okay, it did not enter my mind to say that, but okay, since he's saying so, we have to say. If person, I'm sure, I thought it's obvious, but okay, maybe it's not obvious. So even if you need to say several blessings, like you say the blessing on these grapes, right? You say blessing, you start eating grapes, you swallow, of course. And then after you finish this grape or half of the grape or whatever, you don't have to eat the whole grape, just a little, and make sure that you swallow. And then you can go and say another blessing, whatever else you want to eat. Right, swallow, and you can go to another blessing. For example, you're going to drink coffee, right, with these fruits, or tea, or whatever, iced tea. Right, so you say the blessing on iced tea. So you're going to say 3 blessings in this case. However, if he likes the other foods better, or if one is 7 species of the prizes of Eretz Yisrael, he recite the blessing on that food first. Okay, so if you have, why would he say that? I'm not sure why would he say. I mean, if you have grapes, so of course, or figs or pomegranates, of course, it's a fruit of the tree. You would say the blessing of these fruits first. And if you have, let's say, apples and pomegranates, so of course you have to say the blessing on a pomegranate, unless you don't like it for whatever reason and you eat it only for a health reason, and you like apples more. Let's say it's possible. So you say the blessing on apples. Okay, but keep in mind that you want to keep cover pomegranates also, because these five fruits that the land of Israel blessed with, of course, they're more important than other fruits. Okay, so 5 fruits is grapes, olives, right, figs, and pomegranate, and what is figs and one more. Figs and dates number 5. Okay, continue. Even if one has wine and grapes before him, and wishes to drink wine before eating grapes, and he recites Borei Geffen, who creates the fruit of the wine, even though if he would intend to exempt the grapes with this blessing, Borei Geffen as well, he can exempt them with that blessing. Nevertheless, it is forbidden to do so initially. So, see Mishnah Brura, Igras Moshe. So on the wine, we say Borei Geffen, and it is translated, who created the fruit of the wine. So, and grapes, of course, I mean, it's a true statement. It's not like you saying the false statement. The grapes are the fruit of the wine, right? But fruit of the wine, since not without going too deep into the topic, so the main fruit of the wine is actually the wine as a beverage, not the grapes, right? That's I mean, wine is a beverage costs much more than the grapes. I'm not sure much more, but cost more. Let's say cost more. Okay, and for sure it's more important than the grapes, right? So it's proper to say Borei 8 on grapes. So you have wine and you have grapes, let's say. So you say blessing on the grapes, and then you say the blessing on the wine, and you drink wine. But if person said by mistake the blessing on no, if a person say the blessing on the wine, and he meant or she meant that this blessing should cover only wine, let's say. So it's possible after that to say the blessing on the grapes. There is no problem. But if person said the blessing who created the fruit of the wine for wine and grapes together, and drank wine and eat grapes, so there is not necessary to repeat the blessing for grapes, because after the fact, whatever he says or she said is true. But as Kitzur Shulchan Aruch said, don't do it. It's not proper. It's only good after the fact. Okay, as he said, nevertheless, it is forbidden to do so initially. So it's not recommended, but it says forbidden to do so initially. Right? As we learn in after blessing, Me'am Shalosh, those are three separate blessings. I mean, at least two separate blessings. For wine and for grapes, you have two separate insertion. Okay, continue. Rather than recite Borei, he should intend not to exempt the grapes. Okay, so exactly as we said, so that he may recite the designated blessing upon them as well. So for whatever reason, person wants to change the order for whatever reason. So I mean, person is thirsty. He wants the wine and then he wants grapes. No problem. So if he wants to start with wine, say the blessing on the wine, but in your mind, do not include the grapes. That's as we said, but yeah, he just confirmed it. That's the proper procedure. But if you want to go according to all of the opinions, without all of this after the fact, so just say blessing on the grapes and then on the wine. I would say it's the most straightforward approach. Okay, no problem. So let's see commentary. As long as he did not specifically intend to exempt the grapes with Borei and blessing, he should recite Borei 8 blessing when later eat grapes. See Mishnah Brura. So very interesting addition from Mishnah Brura. So he's saying that, in other words, what he meant to say that if person did not have intention to include the grapes in this blessing, so and did not have intention to exclude the grapes from the blessing on wine, so after the fact he's allowed to say the blessing on grapes, because as we said initially, person should not do so. So if we do not suspect that person did something wrong like initially. Okay, that's the thing. Any questions on what we said? I hope I did not confuse anybody, but okay, so we continue then. Halacha number 13. With regard to all foods, with the exception of bread, whose laws are explained in 42 Halachos 19 through 21. Okay, so we're going to go back, and there is a long commentary. If one changes location while eating, even though he did not divert his attention from eating, the change of location is regarded as the had diverted his attention. Therefore, one who is eating, drinking in one room, and then goes to a different room to complete his eating or drinking there, right? Even if he will eat from the same type of food that he has eaten, and even if he is holding food and drink in his hand, and he carries it into the other room, nevertheless he must recite Brocha Rishona there anew. Okay, that's not how we passed it, but okay, continue. However, he is not required to recite Brocha Achrana on the food that he ate first in the first room, because the bracha achrana that will be recited in conclusion of the eating of the second room will cover that was eaten in both places. Okay, so let's go to the beginning, and there is long commentary on bread, and we're going to explain everything line by line. So it says. So now, well, the topic here is changing location. So everybody heard about changing location, but many people do not know what it constitutes of changing location, right? So a person, as we said when we were discussing Birchas Hamazon, so a person ate in one room, in one place, he has to return to that place to say Birchas Hamazon. Okay. If he had the intention to finish eating in another place, that's a different story. But the proper, before you go in anywhere, to say the Birchas Hamazon in that place. Okay, and some people like so lazy, but after you say Birchas Hamazon so many times, it would take by heart. It would take you only a few minutes. It's not such a big deal. This Birchas Hamazon. Okay, so 3 minutes, 4 minutes tops. Okay. So one more time, with regard to all foods, with exception of the bread. Okay, so with other foods, when person leaves the actual place, the bracha stops. But he gave us extreme example that person meant to continue eating somewhere else, and he had the food in his hand, and still the bracha is stop working. So that's not how we paskin. We paskin more more leniently. For example, it would mean that if I started drinking coffee, let's say I want to go somewhere, right, and I made myself coffee to go, right, and I start drinking in my car, in my house, then I go to my car, and I won't continue drinking. So according to this ruling, I would need to say another blessing in my car, which is not true. That's now how we paskin, right? So let's see the commentary on bread. According to Kitzur, the laws of this year apply to all food except bread, which is generally not subject to the requirements that bracha rishona is recited if one leaves. Rishona, it's initial one. One second. Requirements that bracha rishona is repeated if one leaves the place where he recited the blessing. Okay. See above, 1 second, for the reason why the bread is not included in this halacha, and further discussion of these halachas. Okay, so we're not going to go there. No, actually it's 50 and 53. So yeah, no, we actually did it. Okay, so when a person ate bread, he has to go to the place where he ate it, right? And we actually said many poskim say that even if he ate mizones, even if he ate cookie and cake or something in that place, he has to return. And according to some poskim, it's a minority, but it's still very significant opinion, right? That even person ate this drank wine, or ate these five fruits that the land of Israel blessed with. He also has to go. I mean, if a person can, it's proper to abide by that, but it's not strictly required. So, continue. Others, however, maintain that other products of the 5 grains, besides bread, and according to some opinions, even the fruits of the 7 species, exactly as we said, right, are subject to the same halacha as bread. Yes, it's Shom Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Brura. So I mean that's a stricter opinion, and that's what we're trying to go by, right? So if person ate cake, you have to say the after blessing in the same place. Mishnah Brura cites Gra rules like the opinion that maintains that grain products, but not fruit of the 7 species, are considered like bread with regard to this halacha. Okay. So Gra said that for cookies and for cookies and cakes, yes, you have to go, you have to return, but not for fruits. Okay. The Kitzur, in Kitzur editorial glosses to the CF, Kitzur concedes that one should endeavor to avoid such situation when eating fruits of the 7 species, and certainly when eating grain products, since the matter of subject dispute. See therefore further discussion. So even though it's a matter of dispute, so let's just summarize what we do today. So today, if person ate bread, he must go back to the original place and say Birchas Hamazon. I mean, if he left in that place. Same with mizoines, right? If he ate cake, go back. And according to some opinions, and it's proper, like respect those opinions, even for wine and even for these grapes or figs or dates or what is it, olives or pomegranates. So it's minority opinion. Of course, if it's not convenient, you're not obligated to, but it's proper to do so. Or say blessing before you leave the premises. So continue. So one actually the whole sentence. With regard to all the foods, with exception of bread, whose laws are explained above, so we just discussed it. If one changed his location while eating, so he's eating in the middle of eating, even though he did not divert his attention for eating, so he's holding his cup with his tea, right, and change location. The change in location is regarded as he diverted his attention. Right, so when a person diverts his or her attention, we have to say the blessing again. So not the after blessing. After blessing is going to cover all of these foods that we ate, but before blessing you have to say a new one. Therefore, one who is eating, drinking in one room, and then goes to a different room to complete his eating or drinking there, even if he will eat there the same type of food that he had been eating, and even if he is holding the food or drink in his hand, so it's like a very strict. It's like so halachically, Kitzur says it's like he diverted his attention, even though the person holds the cup with his coffee in his hands, and he carries it into the other room exactly. Nevertheless, he must recite the Brocha Rishona in you. Commentary. See Mishnah Brura 178, 11 and 12, which says that if when beginning to eat, he intends to go from room to room in the same house, or even from one floor to another in the same house, he may do so, and certainly need not to recite the blessing anew. Okay, so if it was person's intention, so for example, it's a good example. So you're in the kitchen, you make yourself a cup of coffee, and you go to another room to finish drinking. So that was your initial intention. You made yourself coffee, you taste it, it's good. So of course you said blessing, you taste it, and you go to a different room. There is no problem because it was your intention, even though they say it's on a different floor. In addition, Mishnah Brura writes that if one did not have a mind when recited the blessing to go from room to room in the same house, although he should not initially leave the room, if he did, he should not recite the Bracha Rishona again. So that's what we paskin by. So initially, don't do it because, as we said, there is a strong opinion of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that person must say a new blessing. That's what he says. He must recite Bracha Rishona anew, right? But Mishnah Brura, who came after that, and that's who we paskin by, paskin like, right? So he said, like after the fact, initially don't do it, but after the fact, if even person did not intend to go to a different room for whatever reason, so don't say the new blessing. Continue. Rabbi Moshe finds and writes in Igros Moshe Rochaim 2, paragraph 57, that one who goes outside while sucking on a candy or chewing gum and had recited the blessing while preparing to leave his house may continue eating even other candies if he has them with him, or if he could expect that he would obtain more without reciting new blessing. Okay. So it's very, very interesting. So it's some kind of leniency, right? So if a person had in mind, it's not actually okay. So if person had in mind that he's going to eat candy or nuts or whatever, right, chips, when he is going out of the house, and even if he's going to buy new, let's say, potato chips, it's not healthy, but let's say, right, in a store, right? So this blessing should cover that new chips also. Okay, no problem. But it was his intention. If he recited the blessing before preparing to leave the home, he should stop eating before leaving and recite new blessing after eating the home. See there further. So it's very interesting. So if it was not an initial intention, so he says stop eating before leaving, recite new blessing after leaving, so leave. So change your location, then say new blessing and you continue eating. So after blessing we say only once when if a person ate enough, of course. Okay, continue. However, if he's not required to recite bracha achrana on the food that he ate first in the first room, because bracha achrana that will be recited at the conclusion of the eating in the second room will cover that which was eaten in both places. So Kitzur says, so he continued, even if you need to say two blessings, let's say for whatever reasons, let's say the person went outside, he started eating at home, and then decided, okay, so even in a house we have leniencies. We have leniencies if person go from room to room. Under the same roof we have leniency. But if person goes outside, let's say goes on the street and wants to continue it, and of course you have to say different blessing. It's that blessing no longer works, but not after blessing. After blessing we say only one after a person finishes eating all of the foods. Okay. We finish this. See if any questions on what we said. Okay, so it's let's continue. It's very short, right? It's only what 16 halachos. It's of course it's very condensed, but even though it is condensed, he gives like overview, very good overview of all of the halachos of blessings. So number 14. Likewise, if one left the room where he was eating any food except bread, and then return to his place in order to finish eating, he must recite bracha rishana anew upon his return. When do these rules apply? Okay, go ahead. Somebody wants to? Okay. When he's eating alone, or if when he's eating with others, and then all change their location, they move to another place. However, if he was eating with others, and at least one person remain in his place, then even those who did leave all have the same status as the one who stayed. For since they intend to return here, to join the one who remained, and to finish eating here, therefore they return to eat and drink, they are not required to recite the blessing anew. For since one person remained here, the performance of the permanence of the original group was not terminated, and all those who left are considered to be returning in their set place when they come back. Thus, all of the eating, both before they left and after they return, is considered one meal. So, of course, I mean, he presented in a very small paragraph. And we're going to explain, just for your information, we started posting once a week halachos of brachas, when laws of the blessing, when we explain all of this, the halachos in details, in the greater details with all of the examples. It's on our YouTube channel, but it's also in WhatsApp, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, everywhere. We post everywhere. All right. So, but to explain what it says here. I mean, if a person reads, like for me, if a person does not know what Kitzur is talking about, it's like I don't know. It's very difficult. But the thing here is in halacha of blessing is establishment of eating session, right? So and if we apply this terminology to the previous halachas, so since when person leaves, for example, he was eating some food, let's say some snack, then he went out, comes back, so this eating session terminated. That's why he has to say the new blessing. So here, since one person, so they were eating as a group. Group means that you intend to eat together. So if you, for example, in your cafeteria, like in your work, and all of the workers sit at the same table, even though they eat together, but halachically they're not together, right? Each eats from the separate lunch, so it's not eating together. It's not a group, right? So here we have a group that establish the eating session, let's say in somebody's house, and then all of the people, all but one person left. Let's say I have this example. Everybody went to pray mincha, and one person already prayed mincha. He prayed early mincha, so he said, "You go, and I'm going to stay behind." So when they come back, let's say 20 minutes later, there is no problem. They continue eating without new blessing. Because why? Because the eating session did not terminate. Why? Because this one person who stay behind. Okay. So so no new blessing. They just return to this eating session. Okay. So that's the thing. So last sentence says that all of the eating both before and they left and after remained as one consider one meal. Okay, so it's considered one meal commentary. However, they wish to continue eating in another place, they must recite new blessing. See Mishnah Berurah 178:31. I'm not sure why would they do so, but possible, right? So even if they want to eat the same blessing and somebody is staying at the table all the time, there is no problem. But if everybody left, so they went to pray mincha, let's say they come back, they have to say new blessing, of course. 15. Next halacha. If one goes from one corner to another in the same room, even if it is a very large room, it is not considered a change of location that would require another blessing. Okay, so change it like one like a ballroom, right? A huge room. So you cannot even see the end of that room. So there is no problem, right? It's still considered one room. Commentary. This halacha applies even if he is not able to see his present location from when he began eating, such as where his view is blocked by partition or furniture. Right. So let's say that it's like an L shape or something. So you cannot see what your original location. Nevertheless, it's still considered one room. Okay. So of course it's only like some details, like highlights. Whatever Kitzur gives highlights. In that class, Halachos and Brochos, we go in all of the details. So number 16. If one is eating fruit in a garden that is surrounded by walls, and he recited blessing before the fruit of one tree, with intention of eating fruit from the other trees as well, he may eat from other fruits as well, even if he cannot see the original place where he recited the blessing, as he moves among the trees, as long as he has not diverted his attention from eating, and he is not required to recite the blessing a second time. So very important, it says surrounded by wall or fence. Okay. However, if the garden, here we go. However, if garden is not surrounded by wall, and certainly if one moves from the garden to another garden, his initial intention, while recited the blessing, that he will change blessing that he will change his location is not effective to allow the blessing to cover both places, and he's required to recite the blessing renew. Okay, so let's let's explain what Kitzur is saying, and then we go to the commentary, because there are some additional details. So they say if you have a garden and it's surrounded by the fence, they say but the wall, but the fence, exactly the same thing. Of course, it has to be high enough, right? How much high enough? I think like 35, 40 inches plus minus. Okay, I don't remember exactly. 35 inches. Yeah, 10 tefachim. Okay, from 35 to 40 inches, right? So if you have such a fence, so this is considered to be like one room, and you can eat from one tree, from another tree. Does not matter. Even if you like went so far that you don't see your original place when you made the blessing. Okay. So, and this scene and original place when you say the blessing, it's important. Like in some instances, for example, a person start eating at home, and then he went outside, right? Let's say he has a backyard, right? And from this backyard, you can see the room where you made the blessing. So after the fact, you don't need to say another blessing. Even if you did not mean to change locations, it's properly to have in mind. So I want to start eating here, and then I move to my garden, to my backyard. That's a different story. But even if he did not, but he sees his original location, don't say original blessing. That's why Kitzur is very careful to say that, right? So even if person does not see the original location, so since this garden is surrounded by wall, no new blessing is necessary. But it was not like 1 second. Of course, he said as long as he has not diverted his attention from eating. Okay, and is not required to recite the blessing a second time. Okay, so he can eat from all of the trees. However, if the garden is not surrounded by walls, so there is no fence, and certainly if one moves from one garden to another garden, so that's a different story. His initial intention, while he recited the blessing, that he will change his location is not effective. Okay, so as we say, we're going to see now, but according to Kitzur, you eat apple from one tree, and you want to try to taste the apple from another tree, so it's not going to be covered, right? Not affecting to allow the blessing cover both places, and he required to recite the new blessing anew. So, but that's not what we're asking. Let's see the commentary. Kitzur ruled that in order for the first blessing to be effective, it is necessary that both area, for the entire area, be surrounded by wall, as well for the person who has to have had in mind that he will eat from other trees as well. So Kitzur goes like by a very, very strict opinion, right? He said that he requires two conditions. One, that this garden be surrounded by wall, and second, that the person has to have in mind that I'm going to eat from all of the trees. But it's my personal input, right? So I would say if a person goes like outside, just by logic, right? So he does not know from which tree he's going to eat. He has a garden, let's say 20 trees, so maybe from this, maybe from that. I mean, I guess in his mind he would eat from all of the trees. Okay, that's what I would logically say. Mishnah Brura 178, 37 and 38 cites authorities who maintain that either an enclosure by walls or having specific intention to eat from the other trees is effective for the blessing to include the fruit of the other trees as well. Okay, so that's Mishnah Brura give us like some leniency. So he said whether not two conditions, but one or another is enough. So a person had an intention to eat from all of the trees. So I mean, in my mind, it's only logical if person does not know. Like I come in to this garden, so all of the apples looks good to me. So, but I do not know whatever apple I find appealing to me, I would take that one, and maybe from another tree also, Okay. So if person had this intention, no second blessing is necessary. Or if it's surrounded by the fence, no second blessing is necessary. Okay, we finish. So it's Siman 51, and the topic is general rules of Brocha Achrana. Achrana means like after. Okay, so number one, on the fruit of a tree, with the exception of the 7 species, as explained below, a sea of 7. So okay, so it's not okay. And on any produce of that growth from the ground, and any vegetables, and anything that does not grow from the ground, one recite the blessing Borei Nefashos, who created living things, etc. After eating them, even if one both ate and drank, both food and drink are exempt by reciting this blessing. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, and we're going to explain. On the fruit of the tree, so all of the fruits, except as we said, these 5 fruits that the land of Israel is blessed with, is grapes and olives, etc. Right, with exception 7 species, as we said. Okay, and on any produce that grows from the ground, everything that grows from the ground, but not bread. Right? Not bread and not bread family like cookies, and on any vegetables, okay, any that does not grow from the ground. So what does not grow from ground, like meat, cheese, all of this, what is it, beverages, right? Except wine, of course. One recite the blessing Borei Nefashos. Right, so Borei Nefashos is a short one, who's created living things, etc. After eating them, commentary. Okay, so we're going to explain, very interesting. Kitzur is going to explain this blessing below in a different sieve. So, like, all of the intricate parts, very interesting. Even if one both ate and drank, both foods and drink exempt recites in the blessing. So you can eat I don't know, some I don't know, like bananas, right? You ate the bananas and strawberry, right? And then you ate and you drank coffee. So you need only one blessing. So even though, like for example, you were drinking the coffee with small sips, so by itself it would not require the blessing because you did not drink enough in a proper amount of time. But anyway, since you ate bananas, like this kazai, this 1 ounce in a time span of 3 to 4 minutes, so there is no problem. You can say on bananas, let's say, and strawberries, but keep in mind that I also want to cover my coffee, because there is nothing extra, but it's always proper to have in mind like things that like the more things that to thank HaShem for. Okay, so I guess we can stop here.